Hello everyone and welcome back to DC Central, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down and discussing the news that Tom Welling has potentially been cast in a mysterious role for Arrow Season 8, so let's discuss. So thanks to a Twitter user who goes by the name of the World of Mirror, we found out, thanks to a recent convention, that Tom Welling has essentially confirmed that he is returning, well not returning, but making his first ever appearance in the Arrowverse in Arrow Season 8. But what could this role be, and when could this role actually make its first appearance? So for those of you who don't know who Tom Welling is an actor who was actually the lead of Smallville. Smallville was the predecessor show to the Arrowverse. It was what the CW did before they did the Arrowverse, and it was their first kind of, dipping their toes into DC. And they did very, very well with it. Smallville was a very successful show. It went for 10 seasons. And Tom Welling was the lead of that show. He played Clark Kent, of course, aka Superman, in that show. And a lot of people have been waiting for not only Tom Welling, but a lot more Smallville actors to kind of make the jump from Smallville over to the Arrowverse. We have seen quite a few. Like, for example, currently we have Jessica Parker Kennedy, who is, of course, playing Nora Allen on The Flash. She actually played Plastique in Smallville. And also, like, Erica Durant, who plays Supergirl's mother in Supergirl, of course. She was actually Lois Lane in Smallville, so we've seen it quite a few times. And the two that people have really wanted to see is both Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor, and also Tom Welling, who plays Clark Kent. And it seems like Tom Welling could actually be heading to Star City next season for Arrow. So let's just take a look at some of these different things that has been said. So Tom Welling essentially just said, and I put it bluntly, I will be in Arrow next season. Now, this was kind of followed by him backtracking some things, and also with some people whispering things in his ear. Basically, what appears to be saying, you shouldn't have said that. You're not supposed to be saying these things. So what kind of role could Tom Welling have? So the first choice is he could be like a new series regular character for Arrow Season 8. Personally, I feel like this choice is unlikely, even though Tom Welling and Stephen Amell are both very good friends, and it does make sense that Stephen Amell would be able to, get Tom Welling onto Arrow. I don't really feel like Arrow's going to be introducing many big new characters next season, because obviously it's going to be its final season and they're going to want to wrap everything up. So rather than starting up new stories, they're going to want to really focus and crack down on wrapping up the stories they currently have with the characters they have. I don't think introducing a new series regular character, or even a new substantial character, is really an option for them. So I think they're going to really want to, just close off everything they have. And Arrow has quite a lot of characters already, even though this season we have kind of trimmed the fat a little bit. Like, we have got rid of Curtis and things like that. And obviously we will be getting rid of Felicity. We're potentially getting rid of Laurel. We'll see what happens there. Obviously there has been some set photos revealing Katie Cassidy in the set of the finale, so who knows? We don't really know what's going on with Laurel right now, but we are definitely losing Felicity. We've lost Curtis, so we have been trimming the fat. But I don't really feel like, that's a good excuse to, introduce a new big character when we still need to wrap up stories for Renee, Dinah, Roy, Diggle, and obviously Oliver. So I think, that's just not a viable option at this point. He could just be a guest appearance on Arrow. We could see him simply in one episode, which I think obviously would be fine. We always appreciate our little, especially us DC TV fans, we always appreciate our little, our little cameos from actors that we recognize. And I feel like, if they were going to get him in just for one episode, like when they brought in like Kelsey Grammer earlier this season for episode 12, like to do the voiceover, when we get like little things like that, it's just a really nice little moment. And again, it wouldn't be too much and not too overbearing. It would be something they have to focus on. So it could be something like that. It's just something as simple as that. However, what could be fun is, what about if Tom Welling is actually coming back to play Clark Kent, aka Superman, in Crisis on Infinite Earths? If you don't know, Tom Welling was actually offered the role of Superman in Supergirl. Obviously, that role is now currently played by Tyler Hoechlin, who I think has done an amazing job as Superman in the Arrowverse. But that role was actually initially offered to Tom Welling to play the role, but he actually turned it down. What about if he actually is in Crisis on Infinite Earths? Because think about it, it's possible. We have seen in the Elseworlds crossover, John Wesley Shipp show up as the 90s Flash. So the 90s Flash does exist in continuity in the Arrowverse. So it's no real stretch of the imagination to think that maybe Smallville does exist in the Arrowverse continuity somewhere in the multiverse, and this means we could actually see Tom Welling as Superman in this season and in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I think it's honestly not too big of a stretch. I think it's definitely something we could see happen, just based on the fact we've seen John Wesley Shipp as the 90s Flash. This would be an amazing opportunity for fans of Smallville as well. Even though me personally, I never really watched Smallville, it was kind of before my time a little bit, I still am very much aware of it. And what's really interesting is that at the very end of Smallville, we saw Clark Kent basically rip open his shirt and we saw the Superman thing, but we never actually got to see him fully in costume as Superman. That was basically the final shot of the show, was him basically, you know, doing the iconic ripping open the shirt thing and seeing the logo. So if we actually got to see Tom Welling as Superman in this crossover, we would actually get to see Tom Welling officially in the Superman costume for the show, and that would be really interesting. Like, that would be something that would be a lot of fun for fans. It'd be something that would just be like, you know, it'd be a nice little bit of closure, really, because the fact that Smallville obviously was a really long show over 10 seasons, you know, we didn't really get that kind of final moment. It didn't really feel like it was earned. Well, not that it wasn't earned necessarily, but the fact we didn't actually see, you know, what the whole show was building up to, it kind of felt a little bit robbed in my opinion. So to actually have Tom Welling return to the Arrowverse and have him in the costume of Superman, I think it would just give Smallville fans just that, you know, little bit of closure that they've been just yearning for years. And I did mention in my last video that potentially that they are going to be setting up Tyler Hoechlin's Superman for a death in Crisis on Infinite Earths. If they bring in Tom Welling's Superman, maybe they would kill him off instead rather than killing off Superman, because I feel like with Superman there's a lot more potential with him, as in the Tyler Hoechlin Superman. There's a lot more potential with him with Supergirl going forward, especially now they've introduced Lex Luthor into Supergirl. I feel like there's a lot more potential for him, and also he's really a fan favorite, to be honest. He really is. I think that everyone loves Tyler Hoechlin as Superman. I know I do. So I feel like it would be definitely an impactful death, but one that would maybe feel like a bit wasted, especially if they have Tom Welling Superman there. So maybe they could be doing the Superman death like I mentioned, but instead of Tyler Hoechlin Superman, it would be Tom Welling as Superman. And also to go along with that, in Crisis on Infinite Earths in the comics, the Flash actually dies as well, Barry Allen. And what about if they actually bring back John Wesley Shipp as the 90s Flash and they kill him off instead of Barry Allen? I mean, not that they're ever going to kill off Barry Allen in this crossover anyway, but you know what I mean. Maybe instead of killing off that version of Barry Allen, we'll kill off the John Wesley Shipp version of Barry Allen instead. So we still get those like iconic comic deaths, but not with the characters that are relevant to the Arrowverse, if you get what I mean. I feel like it all kind of lines up in that way. So that could potentially be a way they go for the Crisis on Infinite Earths and with Tom Welling's potential appearance. Now, what is important to mention about Tom Welling's comments is he did say specifically Arrow. He didn't say the Arrowverse, he didn't say the crossover, he didn't say Flash, Supergirl, Legends, he said Arrow. So in regards to the crossover thing, you could debunk that. However, obviously he could be talking about the Arrow episode within the crossover, and obviously because that would still be classed as an Arrow episode, so that could be what he was talking about. And also to link it back into another comment, John Barrowman, who of course plays Malcolm Merlyn, aka the Dark Archer on Arrow, he said earlier last year that he would be returning to Arrow in season 7. Obviously we have not seen him really in Arrow season 7 at all. I feel like there could maybe be something coming later, but that's another story, that's another video. But I feel like we could see him later on. But John Barrowman did actually appear in the Elseworlds crossover a couple of times, and he did appear in the Arrow episode of said crossover. So, you know, in regards to that, that could be what Tom Welling was sort of doing. He was saying, yeah, I'm going to be in the crossover, but I'm in the Arrow episode, so therefore I'm going to be in Arrow. So it could be similar to the John Barrowman thing, but that's just a little thing I wanted to just address and point out. But what do you guys think? Are you happy to see Tom Welling return to the Arrowverse? Are you excited? What role do you think he'll have? And do you think he could be potentially returning as Superman for Crisis on Infinite Earths? Make sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It'll help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always, guys, please subscribe for your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. And with all that said, guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.